Hey, how you going? Mark McGuinness. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. We've got something a little bit different for you today on the Best of Sales Skills podcast. If you're able, maybe jump across to YouTube and have a look at this, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of an email teardown. So I've got an email that I've literally just come across in the last half an hour or so, and I'm going to share that with you. I can walk you through it. It's not very long, so it will work well on the audio format. But if you've got access to YouTube, watching it, it'll probably make a little bit more sense and be easier for you to get the gist there. So all right, what I'm going to do is just share my screen and a document that we've got here. I'll just bang this out. So Andy Brownscomb's a friend of mine. He's a regular listener, sales guy, sales leader here in Sydney, and he and I often swap emails about emails, and he just sent this through, and I thought it would be a good conversation for a little email teardown. We can share some improvement strategies and that sort of stuff. So let's have a look. All right, so this is the original email that Andy sent through. Andy works in the event space, and I've removed the name of the business. I've left everything else the same because I'm not really giving them a hard time at all. It's really just some ideas about being more effective at email and how to write good ones. So you can see here, the introduction is very simple. Hi, Andy. I'm Melvin, co-founder of the business. I wanted to reach out and say a big thank you for putting on such amazing events. I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make them successful. I noticed that in many events, distributing photos to speakers and attendees can be a real hassle. Your team takes the hit. I'd love to show you how to streamline this process for you and your team, making your events even more awesome. Are you free tomorrow for a quick chat? So this is not a bad email at all, right? And I think, the thing that I'm going to come back to time and time again is it's relevant. So if you're in events and distributing photos to speakers and attendees is a hassle, then it kind of doesn't really matter how this is going to land and how it's going to look, because you're going to be interested in this if it lands. If you're a bit sitting on the fence, then it's more important to worry about the way that it's delivered. So a couple of things I don't like here that I think are the easy ways for us to clean up. First of all, for those that are looking on YouTube, there's two links. So he's got, I'm Melvin, the co-founder of, and then a link out to his business. Are you free for a chat? Link to Calendly link. So we know that adding links, and particularly two of them, in a cold email reduces your deliverability. So I think that's just a bit of a technical misstep there. And so I don't know that it needs to be a link. Of course, if you're measuring your responses and you can see that adding links is not really making any difference to your responses, to the number of responses that you're getting, I'd leave the links in. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is it's very focused around Melvin. So it's I wanted, I know, I noticed, I'd love. So if you look down the left-hand side, there's a lot of I's. I'm Melvin, okay? I'm Melvin. I wanted to reach out. I know it takes a lot of hard work. I noticed that in many events, I'd love to show you. I'm really not a fan of I love to, actually, to be fair. I think that's very self-centered. So with some really simple rewrites, you can make this much better and remove the focus away from them and start focusing on the client side. So we've got the links, we've got the focus on I. The other thing that I thought this was missing was any type of persuasion. So there's no ethical persuasion here, which is really going to get people interested in providing a proof point, if you like, or getting them interested in saying yes. One of the other things that I didn't like is that, it's a pretty standard CTA. Like you've actually you can't just say, send me more information. You've got to go, I'm up for a chat. I think there needs to be a step between, we've got this cool thing that you probably don't know about, and do you want to have a conversation, right? So I think, this is a slow down the process in order to speed up the result. And then the last piece, I wanted to reach out and say a big thank you for putting on amazing events. This feels to me like it's a false compliment. And therefore, I think it's a bit superfluous. It's a bit, there's a bit extra stuff here that we don't need. And all of that is then making this email a little bit too long. So it's not a long email by any means. It's 94 words, but it's longer than it needs to be. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So here you can see, so I've got hi Andy, and I've highlighted those points. I've got the 2 links there in blue. The green bit is the false compliment piece, and that's what's trying to be the persuasion piece. I'm Melvin, I want it, I know, I noticed, I love. Okay. One of the things that they could do, I will say, I wanted to say a big thank you. You could say exactly what the event was. So if you knew what event Andy ran last or ran recently, a big thank you for putting on the XYZ event, right? That would be really persuasive. This I wanted to reach out, and I'd love to. I think are 2 phrases we should lose, and you should look. You can pretty much just leave them out, right? So, I wanted to reach out. How about, can I say a big thank you for putting on such amazing events, such as putting on the recent event at XYZ. It takes a lot of hard work, and you get rid of the I know straight away. Okay, so what's my rewrite look like? All right. So, hi, Andy. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make events successful. So I've got rid of that fake compliments. All right. And I'm less worried about this being grammatically correct. So I think one of the big challenges for us now is that everyone's got Grammarly, or they use Lavender or one of those tools to help us make writing be more accurate. The problem with that is it then reads just like everybody else's, and it can really just makes it significantly easier for you to not respond to. So the big thing for most emails, of course, is not that you're not going to get a no, it's the fact that you're not going to get any response at all. That's what's going to happen with the vast majority of emails. Okay, so it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make events successful. At many events, distributing photos to speakers and attendees can be a real hassle. So proving that we know they're, show me that we know me. Your team's productivity takes a hit. At a recent local Mercedes event, we distributed 1,500 photos in real time to attendees and sponsors. Worth swapping a message over. So you can see what I've done is I've added a little bit of social proof. And what I've done is used a brand that most people will know, but then I've softened that by saying a local. Right. So this way, this can appeal to smaller event operators and also larger event operators, because if you just put Mercedes in there, then that social proof runs the risk of being too big, and people go, well, I don't do events for Mercedes. Whereas if you say your local Mercedes, they're like, okay, yeah, I know the local Mercedes dealership. They're the kind of people I could deal with. So you sort of, by just adding that extra word, you can cover both bases and make it slightly more powerful and more relevant. All right. And then I've softened the CTA and just made it 1. So instead of saying, can I share with you? So if we go back up, I'd love to show you how to streamline this process. All right. Are you free for a chat tomorrow? And just saying, is it worth swapping a message or 2? All right. So make it a much easier CTA, because then what they'll respond to is going, yeah, how can I learn more? Right. And once someone's committed to that very next step and they've got, yep, then you can say, well, would you like a call, or do you want me to send you a video? And once they send back and say, well, a call will be good, or a video, you're in the conversation at that point. And I think that's when you then jump off to ask for a demo call or a qualification call, discovery call, whatever you want to call it. And one of the big mistakes that we make in sales development or in business development is we ask for the outcome too quickly, and our clients and prospects aren't ready to make that commitment. So as a result of that rewrite, let me see if I can scale it down a little bit. All right, so I've got us down to about 60 words all up. I've removed the links, which is possibly going to improve our deliverability. I've added a more powerful piece of social proof, and I've removed all the focus on I. And I don't think the message is any worse for it. I do think it's actually better. I sent this back to Andy and said, hey, man, here's my rewrite. And what was really interesting was he said, well, the reason why I thought this was a good email in the first place was because of a big thank you for putting on events. I originally thought it was coming from a client. And so then that just goes back to reinforce the piece that says, if it's relevant to the person that you're reaching out to, then it's going to land, and that's really what you need to be focusing on, is getting the data piece right so that you're sending outreach to people who are going to find it somewhat relevant. So there you go. There's a little email overwrite. Needs to be super short, needs to be relevant, needs to use persuasion, as an absolutely minimum, and a soft, easy CTA. So a good email, and I hope we've just made it even better. I just ashamed that we're not going to be able to test this one out because we don't have a client to use this one. And as I said to my friend Andy, the thing that would really work here is if you A and B 2 different versions of this one to see how they landed. So if you put the thank you very much for running the event and this version, and then A and B test those for a while, and then ramp up the one that gets you the better result. So emails today, very, very difficult. Lots of them are not being responded to. We're getting 1% and 2% response rates. We need to work really hard on the copy and the data to make sure they're landing in the right spot at the right time. So there you have it. I'm Mark McGuinness. Thanks for tuning in once more, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.